Okay, should I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much and good afternoon. Let me start by saying that we are extremely satisfied with the testimony given by our General Secretary today. In fact, nothing that he has said undermines our case. Indeed, everything he said goes to points to the fact that we are entitled to the declarations that we are seeking. But several interesting things stood out today. Let me start with the video. The video that they sought to show to try and dent the credibility of the General Secretary didn't happen as they thought it would. In the end, his credibility rather soared. If you watch the video, and I'm sure you all watched it, it is clear from the video that he never said at any point in time that the petitioner had won the elections. In fact, what he did were projections, and rightly so. He stated that based on the 141 parliamentary seats that we had won, the projection was that we would win the presidential slot as well. Those were projections he made. And so they were unable to show from the video that the general said what it is they were trying to prove. So of course they flopped in that regard. The other thing that came out clearly was that there were ever-changing figures from the general's testimony. Now, from their own cross-examination, they described these ever-changing figures as manifestly erroneous. We had the 9th December figures of 13,434,574, 10th December 13,119,460. Then in their paragraph 24 of their answer, that's the first respondent's answer, she talks about 13,121,111. Yet again, today, there were corrections made. And we saw that from the cross-examination on Techiman South. On the face of that, their own exhibit, it showed 97,227. But when they did the tally or the collation, it was 99,436. So when we make the point that based on their own declarations, that's the EC's own declarations, there are errors, we are right. And it has been proven by the cross-examination that they conducted that we do not know what the figures are. Based on her own declaration, nobody got more than 50%. And the declaration I'm talking about is the 9th of December declaration. Also important is the issue of padding. They cross-examined the general on the issue of padding. And you can sense from the cross-examination that they admit that there was padding. What they tried to portray was that on a pen drive, there was an indication that there was also padding in favor of the NDC. Now, if they admit that there was padding, then obviously we are dealing with a very flawed election. That is the point, and they admit it. It's a clear admission of a flawed election. And he also made the point that what we attached in terms of padding were only samples. Only samples. So you can't take a sample and deduct it from a whole or an absolute number and get any results, because that sample is simply what it is, a sample. In the end, there were also questions from the bench about our own figures. But I think we need to make it clear, and it's been made clear over and over again. We are here challenging. What are those figures? There's the 9th of December, there's the 10th of December so-called correction, and there's also the figure in their paragraph 24 And then today we realized that even in some of the constituencies, and they themselves brought out the example, Techiman South, there are errors. So if you ask us, what are our own figures? How are we going to get our own figures based on all these flawed sheets and different figures? And so we stand by what we are saying, that based on her own declaration, nobody got more than 50%. So today we are happy with the cross-examination of the general. We are happy with the results, and we think that our case was made clearly in the court today. So if there are any questions.
Yes. Sisters.
Yes, the interest in the alternative figures, as the petitioner would have or should have brought to court, maybe it's not a matter of interest to only the bench. A lot of us journalists followed the election keenly, and we know that on all sides, the NPP, the NDC, the CPP, each political party had, call it a collation center or a tabulation center, whatever the name was. But each political party was able to, following the reports from their representatives at the polling stations, tabulate the figures, and at the end was able to tell whether or not they were leading, they were behind, whatever the case may have been. Is it the case that based on the tabulation that the NDC did of the election results, it is not possible for the petitioner to tell us some figures which probably directly contradict the figures that the EC chairperson announced on the 9th of December?
I mean, that's a good question, but having regard to the case we have even brought to the court, I don't even think it's necessary. They themselves have different contradicting figures. Why do you need another one from us? They are different contradicting figures. And that is the point we are making, that the EC themselves, what are the figures?
Yeah, any other? Akabile?
On the point about the alleged vote padding, I just wanted to find out, because we heard General saying sample. I mean, what is the full range of this vote padding that the petitioner's team detected? And if indeed you detected that full range, should you rather not be making the case that those votes be annulled? And the other one relates to General's point about the first time he's seen the contents of a pen drive. If you could clarify that point for us as well.
Okay, I think, let me start with the issue of the pen drive. The information on the pen drive was printed for the general. It was printed for him, so he saw the hard copy. He didn't actually see the pen drive, and from what I could see on the screen, they were actually reading from the names of the folders, which he would not have. He would have the printed document, because of interest to him was the information on in the documents and not the names of the folders. So that is how it is explained that way. It's not to say he didn't know what was in the folders, but what they read was based on the names of the folders. I hope that is clear to you. Then the other question was what?
The vote pattern. Yeah.
More.
That's not fundamental to that.
Because you kept saying sample, and the sample came to 4,000 in terms of General's witness statement and about 5,000 in terms of the petitioner's statement. The full range that you discovered in your analysis, how many votes are we looking at, and why are you not making a request with evidence to have those votes annulled instead of relying on the declaration of December 9?
Well, that is the choice that we made, that we will challenge the declaration of December 9. That is the choice that we made. We brought samples to show how flawed the election was, but our choice was to challenge the very declaration of December 9th.
Okay, so we can do the P now.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Okay. Okay. Yo, abusian for yebeda masibim se masanso aje brese mu betie yen. And then about court on the said the lawyer Penny, former Attorney General, Honorable Maretta Brewer appear upon Akano. Adia Bakwa, lawyer ma the second respondent. Epese Obeye in his cross-examination of our witness General Mosquito ne say Obeye Maria Sinyina na court na hu say and someone yeto aba ni wie ono ne NDC mpanyimfo bi e ka ne ho e de tu dwa e fa abato ne sunsuanso ho no enye no no de aba court na wasesa na no enti in conclusion no onya no kwafo na mo amohwe video boy no na mutie anu yi a general edema no a bibia kire se general ankasa de wanka no in any press conference say ya ye collation on the basis of your collation no John Mama Rene Nensam wo kan ye ni nyina kire se your results I kire se NDC Arena parliamentary seats about 141 which he still stands by, and on the basis of that anyhow in the past the trend has been, or can I say John Dramani Mahama will have the comfort he needs in parliament to govern. Now, Osanso Chiremu say, Sempo, NDC Mpenyufua, Ahodwa, your boy, your numwa sem to say some agent fee to kono. Eka say, na John Mahama wenia. Enya nunti ni abakot. Ya decide say, Enfa honi ye figures are ye white chese ye ni arene no. Ye be yusu easy for nankasa figures. Na ya show court on the say, Sempo ya de figures ne to nchen ye yusu omo ankasa figures mpo a Omampenye Kufuado, the second respondent, did not get more than 50% of the total valid votes cast per the 9th December declaration, which is the only declaration of the 2020 presidential election results. Ti yehuni se anu year General Mosquito de Maomono it settles this issue. So then I can we know about court abeka. Yes, say ya the figures no crowd to nchen ye fa one kasa wu figures na Omampenye Kufuado enya more than 50% of the total valid votes cast, and that is a solid case. Number two, and then more me sure say more cross examination no na mu mu bebre mu you confused. Say e den na ato aba Ghana ye what different versions of the results of that election. Ye ni fi ye hu bi da. Say ato aba wie na on 9th December to say the Honorable Attorney General Chiremu no say total valid votes 13,434,574. On 10th December no more the press release aba almost the total valid votes no 13,119,460. Weeks after Ghana for nyina age sa figure na to mawie no ye de omoba court no ma sese o ma no almost your figure no 13,121,111, all based on 274 constituency results. How is it possible? Say about you benya different figures. To what your cross examination no crana. I say you based on assumption. Okay, you find the results in India. You find the results in India. And the General Mosquito Chiremu say about to na yet to no total valid votes ma would ma various candidates. And until the figures cannot be changing. Na sempo ufi say would the figure be a to dra. Now from so wo and I'm saying a number nusu sun fidia a number nusu na ehwinti no. E was say all the agents of the presidential candidates. Na nyina yetena se na ye the necessary corrections. Won ko share esumu na won fa figures are any basis on valid votes cast. And Mabontain. And if we say Namunina Mubi, or Maka say figures need be a slip, need a keka. Say yes, slip, say yes, slip, no. Your best say, Ochina, Yanina, more modern year proceedings. Yen say, Dole. The cross examination of the returning officer of the presidential election, Madam G. Mensano, a bit to Miabaso. Naya she, whether say, this claim say a mere slip and a mere mistake, no, can stand the test of law. They are told me and son. Honorable former Attorney General can was the issue of pardon. Nene de ya ten court on ye ho adwiri pardon no asechire say wo yewura Johnson Esiodun Ketia adan secretary wo de aba court ene owura Mahama petition wo de aba court no ye de 26 constituency results aba kire say baby Omampenye Kufuado nya emma ebia apem no ye de be oha aka ne ho nti ne mma no ye de bia keka ne ho a enya Ghana fo ne to sa aba ne ma no EC official bi na de pen sebio ewie bi e de akeka eno ne friend pardon no eno ti se wo beji tu mu se oh okay I know the esua abusuafo say ye one mpo a de kire ne say talking about credibility. If the cross-examination of General Mosquito is about credibility, so kanokra na one kanokra. Even if you admit, say, Obo Krono the vote by Kokraka or Mampenyo Kufuado de Hua, what credibility do you have? Not to talk of close to 5,000 votes. In 2012, same people for their dance here by Kokra by court. Safa Rijai. At the one vote to crack a John Mama de Hua, come back at you, sir, in the Anya Chrono. In Tiquabo Chrono, I was away, you, sir. And on Nanchen, no person was answer say, oh, G Mensa. Te said, we are money be card or Mampenyo Kufuado de Hono, or we are Biso Majo Mahama. Obusiafo, we are somewhere was here Shannon. Because this is the first time. This is the first time. Ewo Ghana bako semua. Ya to abewie. Na de wato so mienu ne say, ye wie bia ma de wedi first. De wedi first no so say ye wie bia ma de wato so mienu. What does it mean? It means that abato no nsunsanso a ye de atudwa no is flawed. Because obiasi ye wiem. De ato so biem. The issue of pen drive ho asem. Former Attorney General Achirem. Nipa bebre na ye petition we hu adwuma. Exhibits bebre ye de aka petition ne ye wura se dun ketia dan secretary ye friend witness statement no ho aba court. Answer ye wura se dun ketia de ma court no should let everybody know that this is an honest witness who will only speak to matters within his personal knowledge. Sir exhibit no e kasa about pardon about why ye di bia keka ki come Mampenyo Kufuado ma ho. Ye the soft copy of good pen drive so. And ye the hard copy no so auto file no so. General Mosquito say hard copy na me hwe. Pen drive ne de maintain hwe. Ye free say boni bi anim. In any case, at the crocro mo person ko mo be kire no no. O ma intinya point no on the screen. We didn't see anything on the screen e kire say John Mahama de ni ana we ni. So and also ye are very satisfied with the answer General Ademai. And again this issue about mo say ye wi abani mu a mo amu figures when mo amu total valid votes ye den mo amu ma mo say John Mahama nya ye den mo amu ma mo say Mampenyo Kufuado nya ye den. That question no ye wura say nketie yi ano a ene ye ma me Attorney General so achechim de ye kan say ya ma court say ye figures a ye collation ye nya ye no eno ho manso ne ye betwe ye ba court to say 1992 constitution na power penyimu bia ono ne yeto Mampenya abato awie a owa asodie se obobo wabobo awie wasanso pass sa declaration into law abeye mra CI 135 enti ya fa na numu asem ono ani figures no gina so aka se declaration ni dia and your Mampenyo Kufuado enya more than 50%. Ye figures no emamu ho na nya bia de na honorable Attorney General kan se me de be batwi ka se mu de o kan se adie so wo betimi anya results I just okita 275 constituency summary sheets o carbon copy and na be keka bo manya with total valid votes na wo de aye divisions and na be keka bo no hu John Mahama ne Mampenyo Kufuado ma sa summary sheets yisu and no na na hu ni court say figures na wo so no bebre ye wrong Techiman South to the okika bo mu a amount 99,436 as the total valid votes and so you say 97,227. It is a pay figures in the. How do you know which one is correct and which one to use? And there are several of such examples. And until General Car say, any possible. So one case will bet me any accurate collation of your own. No when you any accurate figures because election is flawed. For the Ebeka to win say. Yeni aso adanse a ye twetwefo panyi General Mosquito wedi ni wadaka nim ya sempa ye de ababeto court na nim no ye free say it has not been undermined in any way and the credibility of our witness has not been undermined in any way. Ye besra Ghana fo nyina mo pese mo hu 2020 presidential election no abato ni mu nukre se ochina ene eda ye nim no ye nyemre ne ye hwe proceedings ni bi because ya ma mi ji mensa ono na dwuma ho asem na aba ha yi no obetena daka nim ne yabisa ne nsem na ye nyina ye hu de all kind of cre ye nyina ye hu se about one instance why yɛde atu dwa no ɛyɛ valid and ɛnyɛ valid na yɛde anu sinema yɛn kasa so obi kasa General Mosquito can the court to say yɛama court to challenge the validity of the election ne yɛba court to challenge Jimensa adwuma sɛ wayɛ ana wɔnyɛ ya ne kyɛ sɛ ɔno asɛm na wɔka no nte aseɛ because Jimensa say what discharging the constitutional duties as returning officer no the validity of the election can be. So if you are challenging whether Jimensa as the returning officer has performed her constitutional responsibilities, you are also challenging the validity. A declaration was and declaration is part of the election. So if we are challenging the constitutionality and the validity of it, it means we are challenging the validity of the election. Thank you.